What's up, party people? Welcome back to another episode of the podcast with me, your host, Paula. Y'all, I feel like I have a lot that I want to talk about today, so we're just gonna get right into it. Let's get into it. Welcome to the Policast. Starring me, Paula Kushensky. Alright, everybody. Thank you guys so much for joining me and watching me. Listen, if you have been watching this podcast for any amount of time, you know that we're definitely still in the test phases. I'm still trying to find the place that I want to record in, and then also kind of get like a format or a system going. Well, here's the deal. Uh, all the places I have recorded the podcast have been within our apartment building complex, and this one is the same thing. So great building. But the thing is, I've tried a few different places out, and the place we recorded last week, I actually really liked that, but it was taken, and I'm recording this very last minute. So I didn't even know this room existed. This is like a writer's room. And so that's where we're in today. And honestly, I kind of like it better. I don't know. I feel like I'm switching up all the time, and maybe I'll just have to keep switching because maybe if this room is taken, we'll go back to the other room. But I like this. I feel like it goes back to we're just hanging out on the couch. I want it to be casual. I feel like I tried formal with the desk and the little computer, and I don't know if it just wasn't my vibe. I mean, I liked it. I thought it was pretty, and I would definitely still use that if this space were to be full. But to me, this is what I want. I just want it to feel chill, and also this to me is like my apartment, but 1,000 times nicer. I have a vase back here, so maybe that I could get from my apartment. But I don't know, this feels the most homey. So I think we're sticking with this. Unless it's taken next week, and then maybe we'll go back to the other room. But listen, I know it's really chaotic and kind of I feel like every week I'm like, okay, this is it. And then the next week, something different happens. I don't know what's going on. Okay. I don't know. My life is crazy. All right. I got up this morning and honestly nothing happened. But I guess I don't really know what's gonna happen day to day. So it's fitting that I don't know what's gonna happen in the podcast. And I'm excited about it. But I do know one thing that is gonna happen. And it's that we're gonna have a good time. Alright, we're gonna have fun. Alright, I'm gonna tell some funny stories. You can share in the comments some of your funny stories, and we're just gonna vibe. It's gonna be really chill and relaxed. So I started doing these current events that I wanted to cover, but I don't want to do that anymore. To me, it's a little too well, one, things change in 30 seconds. So last week I was talking about the Super Bowl, and I'm sorry, but the Super Bowl feels like it was so long ago at this point. Years and years ago, many moons ago. So I feel like talking about current events is just you have to it just goes so quickly. I don't know if I really want to talk about that, you know? Also, so many current events are political or kind of a bummer. And then I want this to be a fun time, I want it to be a fun time for me. I want it to be a fun time for you guys. So I'm not doing current events anymore. We're just gonna vibe. Okay, I'm just gonna tell stories and talk about comedy, and you guys hopefully like that. And we're just gonna do that. And then hopefully maybe one of these days, one of these stories will end up in a bit, and you guys will be able to be like, oh yeah, I remember when that she was talking about on that podcast. And now it's a whole bit. So yeah, we're just gonna be chill. But I really appreciate you guys sticking around and kind of being patient with me about where exactly this ship is gonna dock. Nobody knows. But I'm excited. Hopefully somewhere tropical. Speaking of tropical, you guys. Okay, this last week I was in Florida for a comedy festival. The comedy festival is called Sand, like sand, beach sand, Sand Up Comedy Festival. So pretty great name. I love the pun. Um, and it was in like the panhandle of Florida. It was kind of in a few different towns. It was like part of it was in Panama City, and then part of it was in a different city, South Walton, maybe? The Emerald Coast. That's what it was called. Um, all I know is that we stayed at a Hilton. So, which I just have to say, this is like totally unrelated, but Hiltons are so nice, and I'm so grateful that I've gotten to stay at two for comedy now, and they're so fun. But they don't have free continental breakfast, all right? And I know I've like talked about my love for continental breakfast before, but I think it's a little bit tacky to have like like a glass chandelier in the lobby, and then you won't even give me like a free muffin. So I don't know. I'm really grateful for like they had a really nice hot tub. Oh yeah, we'll talk about that. Okay. Um, I feel like when I talk about hotels, all I talk about is the continental breakfast and hot tubs because I feel like last time I talked about a hotel, I had this exact same conversation. But they had a really nice outdoor hot tub, and so I that was really fun, and I made John go in that with me. And he doesn't even really like hot tubs, but I like hot tubs, and he likes me, so I forced him to go. But okay, so it was on like the panhandle between Panama City and Pensacola. Which I've always wanted to go to Pensacola because my friend went to Pensacola when I was younger, and she said it was so fun, and I was kind of jealous. So I hope one day I can go to Pensacola. It wasn't actually in Pensacola, but it was like between those two cities. And we stayed in Destin, which I didn't know, but the Taylor Swift song, which is like Florida, dun dun, you know that song? Well, she talks about a timeshare in Destin. And I was like, hey, that's me. I don't have a timeshare, but I'm in Destin. And you know what? I would work my life away for this. This is great. Buildings, by the way, in Florida, so cute. Like, even hospitals or like not cute places like storage units and clinics, they're like so fun and beachy. Like, I was saying this like in my act all weekend, and honestly, they didn't love it, but I love it. And the joke was like how like if I were to have to go to a clinic, it would normally be like a bummer, but in Florida I would be like, take a picture of me, like look at we're at this cool little it was so cute. There was this like really what I thought was like this very high end hotel, and then turns out it was a hospital. And so then I thought I made a joke. I was like, well, it's basically a high end hotel, and nobody laughed, but I liked it. So anyway, we stayed in this really cute area, and we drove. So like here's Nashville, and here's you just drive straight down. So we drove through Alabama, which y'all I did not know that there was palm trees in Alabama. That's crazy to me. Like I I don't know why I just that seems like so far out to me. I was like shocked. I was like taking so many pictures of it. But yeah, they have palm trees in Alabama, and good for them. It was pretty fun. I stopped at a few gas stations in Alabama, and I mean, I'm not gonna lie, I love Alabama, but y'all have some of the most disgusting gas stations I've ever seen in my life. I went to one, and like there was this like streak of like something brown, and it was outside the toilet, and it was not good. Oh, I stopped in one bathroom, and none of the stalls in the women's restroom had locks. None of them. There was like three stalls, and none of them had locks. So I just had to like hold the door and pee. And I probably should have just gone to another gas station, but we were already there, and I had to pee. And like I'm not one to, you know, complain, I guess. Well, I'm complaining now. I'm not one to do anything about it. So I just went. And I had this series that I do on Instagram on my stories where I rate bathrooms. And I should have done that because there were some nasty ones, and I don't have proof of it because I didn't take a picture. But they were like so gross, I just wanted to get in and out. Like, I didn't even want to like touch anything. I honestly didn't even want to wash my hands because I felt like I was like, even like watching, like touching the stuff, I was like, this is just so gross. So I feel like I just went in like a surgeon like this, and then I just like squatted, and then I just walked out. I guess I did it like, you know what? We're getting too in the weeds with this. But okay, so Alabama was cool to drive through, lots of palm trees that I didn't know they had. They should talk about that more with tourism. They should advertise that more. Alabama, we have palm trees. You're welcome. Anyway, okay, so then we got to Florida, and and the trip was like about 8 hours, 7 hours, 7 hours. So we got to the actual beach, and then we were there Friday night. We drove in Friday, so we were there Friday night, all day Saturday, and then we basically left Sunday morning. So it was a quick trip, but still fun. So when we were there, I'm gonna talk about the comedy next, but I just want to talk about the other stuff first. Um, we did the hot tub that I told you about. That was really fun. And we got to drive around a lot, like up and down the main highway because we were going back and forth to shows. So I actually feel like I got to see kind of like a lot of cool stuff just because of how back and forth we were. Um, our second night, so Saturday night, we were at this comedy club called Beaches, and it's in this little strip mall, which sounds awful, but it's like Florida strip mall, so it's kind of nice. And it's like cute and all these different like pastel colors. And honestly, it looked like a music video. Like someone should shoot their music video in that strip mall. It would go well. Um, but the strip mall, like that was actually fun, even though it looked like it wouldn't be fun. And um, oh, I was nervous the entire time that I was gonna go to the bathroom in the middle of the night and like Snake was gonna like crawl up the toilet. That's like a big fear from of mine that I had. I get weird regional fears. Like I wasn't even so much worried that it was gonna like bite me, the snake, the imaginary snake in the toilet. I was just more concerned that it was gonna like that I was gonna like pee on it and then I was gonna like anger it and it was gonna like go up my butt or something. I don't know what I thought. But I remember when me and John went to Arizona last year. Was it 2 years ago? Might have been 2 years ago now. My big fear was someone let me in on something called a clear scorpion, which I literally, if there was one thing I could like Men in Black erase from my mind, that would be it. I did not need to know that. But I was told that. And so then I was really scared of that. So like the whole time, um, I made John like get in our bed and like writhe around in it, like get in all the nooks and crannies so that he could check and make sure that there was no clear scorpions. And then at night I was afraid I was gonna step on them. So I made John walk to the bathroom with me and I would walk behind him. Which yeah, that is unhealthy. I'm not saying that you should be like me. Um, but that was like a regional fear. I'm trying to think of like other regional, like go to when I first moved to Tennessee, I was pretty terrified about brown recluse spiders. And I'm still terrified about it, but I guess it's like gotten a little bit better. So like, I don't know, I like North Dakota because North Dakota everything dies. For 6 months of the year, everything's dead except for humans, but that's okay. So like I don't worry about spiders really. Bees are really only like a summer thing. I don't worry about like a poisonous insect or like a snake. There are poisonous snakes in the western side of the state, but I'm in the eastern side of the state. So I don't know. I don't really worry about it as much. But we do have mosquitoes that carry West Nile, so that's kind of a bummer. But yeah, like I would much rather get caught in a blizzard than get bit by like a venomous. Now that I think about it, I think most people would probably prefer that. I don't know. The bugs in the south freak me out, and it's like every state has its own bug that freaks me out. Tennessee spiders, Florida snakes. I know Florida has like alligators too, but I'm not as concerned about them because in my mind, I don't know if this is true, but in my mind, I'm like, well, I'll see them coming and somehow that like makes me feel better. Um anyway, ooh, I want to tell you guys a story about a different time I went to Florida. I'll tell you about, and then it revolves around alligators. But we're gonna try and stay focused. I did comedy in Florida, and that's what we're talking about. Okay, so that was kind of what it was like to be in Florida for this trip. The comedy part. Okay, so it was organized. The festival organizers, by the way, were so great. They were constantly like, "Are you guys having fun? Is there anything else we could do for you?" Like, I felt like a little princess there. They were like, they gave us all this free food, and like they had this like big after party on Saturday, and so you got like free drinks, and it was like there was a jazz band. Ugh, you guys, I'm obsessed with jazz bands. Okay, I want a jazz band for every. If you want to class up your event, jazz band. It was so classy. It was like piano and saxophone, and they were playing, and it was just so good. I love a jazz band. So okay, that was really fun. The after party. They did a really good job. They were really just good communicators. Like they made sure everybody knew exactly what the schedule was, what to expect. Most venues had a shuttle or like a little van that they would pick the comics up from the hotel. So like most people didn't even have to drive once they got down there because they'd take you to and from the hotel, and then I think, yeah, the van would go to the after party and back to the hotel. So honestly, it was a pretty good time. Me and John did have to drive. We drove the first night to the show because it was like one of the only shows that there wasn't a van for. Or no, wait, I was wrong. There was a van, but it left at 4:30 instead of 4:45, and John and I had just pulled into the hotel at like 4:15 p.m. because took like all day to drive. So, and if you know me, you know I have to stop to pee every hour. So, we make a lot of stops. Anyway, so we missed the bus that time. Not a big deal. Still got to like talk to the festival people to make sure they knew we were there. And then the second night was the night where they didn't actually have a van for us because it was like so far away. It was like probably 45 minutes away with traffic, but they did compensate us in money, which I'm cool with that. You can always give me money. So they gave us like a little extra because we drove ourselves and like one other comic. Um so yeah, it was just a really comfortable festival in terms of like you shouldn't have to worry about anything, which was really nice. Um, Also, okay, but oh, one more thing, but I had to get my prescription transferred to the Florida Walgreens, and they were not out of my prescription, but the Walgreens in Nashville was out of my prescription. So like, what's up with that, Nashville? Get it together, okay? Florida has it. Anyway, okay, just everything's better there. I don't just the vibe, like the beach and everything. Um, okay, so then the comedy shows. The first night we did two shows, 6 p.m., 8 p.m., and they were at both at this brewery. And the brewery staff so nice. I honestly would have I assumed the beer was good, but I don't drink beer, and I don't really drink much at all, but definitely not beer. So I don't know if it was good, but it looked like it was good. They had this little photo booth that I think the festival put on with like all the little fun little costumes. So it was a ball. The only bummer is that the venue itself was very large, and then the audience was just like not as large because it was Valentine's Day, and so it was like kind of a tough sell for like the brewery, I think. Um, Also, one thing about the comedy, a lot of old people in Florida. Forgot about that. Forgot that they go there in the winter. And if I could tell you the people that like my jokes the least are old people. I would rather perform for a group of 9-year-olds. I would do better with 9-year-olds than I would do for old people. They just do not like it. I don't know if it's like I don't think it's like that they don't think women are funny. I really don't think that's it. I think it's more that they don't think that because I have like a dry, sort of like sarcastic humor. I don't know if they like that type of humor, especially for like someone like me. I think they kind of expect more like animated silly, and I'm not really silly. I'm very dry. So I don't know, maybe I'm wrong, but I don't think old people like my actually, no, I know old people don't like my comedy. The reason I know that is because there was an old lady that came up to me after one of my shows, not in Florida. This was a lady from a Tennessee old lady. She came to one of the shows that I was on. It wasn't my show. She came to a show, and then afterwards, she walked up to me and was like, "Good job." And I think she's about to give me a compliment, and she's like real little, and she's like, "Good job. But your delivery could use some work." And I was like, Thank you so much. Appreciate that. Make sure not to fall down the stairs." Anyway, no, I would never wish an old person to fall down the stairs. But also don't insult my comedy to my face, maybe. So, I know old people don't like my comedy. Anyway, so, oh, the other thing, okay, y'all, I can't believe I forgot to tell you this part. I was the headliner for my shows. So there was 6 headliners for the festival, and I was one of them. And I've never gone to headline like a stand-up festival. Never really gotten to, only really gotten to headline like 1 or 2 shows in my life, let alone an entire festival. So I was so pumped, you guys, because I've been coming off like some amazing shows. Like Honest Walk was so good. I had a couple really good don't tells. So I was going in, I was like, watch out, Florida. I'm about to kill it. I'm so excited. And then I proceeded to like eat it for the entire time. But okay, so the brewery shows, it was kind of just I think just the way the brewery was set up. They did the best they could. They were really nice. No hate to the brewery. The brewery actually was really cool. And they had this really fun green room for us, and they were great. But it was just like kind of a smaller crowd, and then like I said, a lot of old people, so they're kind of quiet, and that just didn't work for me. Like I didn't do well in that environment. Other comics did better. But I was the headliner, so I'm used to like when I go to a show and I'm on a show and there's another headliner, everybody talks to them afterwards, wants to take a little picture with them, and I don't know, my ego. I was like, I want people to do that to me, and literally nobody did that. So, okay, that was the first show and the second show. I will say for the first show, the audience sat in the absolute back row, which was very far from the stage, and then the brewery made it so that they sat closer at the second show. So I was very grateful for them doing that. And then, yeah, so that was the first and second show, 6, 8 o'clock the first night. And we just kind of were like, you know what, we're in Florida. So what? Things don't go exactly the way we want to go. Who cares, baby? We're partying. All right. The next night comes, and it's a 6 p.m. show and like an 8:30, I think, and we ended up starting closer to 6:30. And that show was a little interesting because the comedy club was very new. So they're just like they were sweet, and they definitely like wanted us there, but they're definitely like still kind of working out the kinks of like a new business. We all get. I mean, you guys know what I'm talking about. This is like our 5th change in venue. So I get it. I get what it feels like to work out the kinks. But she was kind of like they were kind of working that out, and so it was a little bit unconventional. It definitely was different from some other comedy clubs that I've done. But the first show actually, oh, sorry guys. How unprofessional. The first show was actually pretty good. And I did 20 minutes the first night, and the second night I did 30 minutes. So that's exciting. So the first show, 6:30, went pretty good. Um, and then the second show, unfortunately, there was like a technology error, which I'm so empathetic to because you guys, I can't do anything, okay? John does all my technology. This is what I do. I start talking, and then it's like out of my hands. I don't know how to do anything. It took me till college to learn how to download a file. Like I'm so stupid. You guys don't even know. So anyway, I guess there was like this technology issue where, oh wait, quick side note. Okay, so one time in college, I was taking this Microsoft class, and it was just very simple, Microsoft 101, right? And I cried in front of everyone and in front of the tour of the school. I just was crying. So that's how I feel about technology. Anyway, okay, so the system had glitched and basically said the show was sold out all week. And then turns out the day of the show, they find out it wasn't sold out, and there was only actually 4 tickets that had been sold. But then the system, like, for some reason said it was sold out, and so then the ticket, like, the program stopped letting tickets be bought. So we had like four tickets sold, and I think we ended up with like 14 people. Which honestly, that's not bad. I've performed for less, but they were all like scattered around, and it was just, there was a child there, and then there was like a couple old people. So I'm like, those dang old people, they hate me. Um, yeah, so I don't want to say the shows were bad because that's not true, and I don't want to be ungrateful. But I thought that the shows were a really good opportunity, and I'm very grateful to be a part of it. And even if the shows were bad, it doesn't matter because it's Florida, okay? There's a beach, there's a hot tub, we got free food. If you could hit me, and if you gave me all of that stuff, I'd be like, well, we're okay, you know? So I don't necessarily mind that the shows weren't amazing, but it kind of did like, as comedians, if you're not a comedian, I just want you to know, you're only ever one bad show away from being like, oh, I actually think I'm terrible at this and not funny anymore. So it doesn't take a lot to like shake our confidence in our stuff. At least not for me. But I will say, like, I've since done a show getting back from the weekend and it went good. And so I'm kind of back to being like, I'm okay. And honestly, I needed a couple rough shows because my ego was up here, man. I was like, I am so funny. And then I was like down here, I was like, I should quit comedy. And now I'm kind of back leveled. You know, now I'm like, all right, I'm just happy to be here. So it worked out. But okay, I wanted to tell you about I've taken 2 other trips to Florida in my life, and I wanted to tell you about them because I think that it's kind of funny. The last trip I took was in college with my sister Paige and then my 2 besties, Kaylin and Allie, who are from North Dakota, and we all went as a group for spring break. I think it was literally 2021. Like, it was in the thick of COVID. I don't think it was 2020, but it honestly might have been. Yeah, I think it was 2021. Whatever it was, I think it was 2021. And so we went to the Pompano Beach in Florida. It was like right, I think it was right next to Fort Lauderdale. We basically went to Fort Lauderdale, and y'all, I had the best time of my life. Okay, I loved every second of that trip. I will say, day one, I was swimming in the ocean and I lost my glasses in the ocean like 5 hours into being in Florida. And then I had to go blind the rest of the trip. And when I say blind, you guys, I mean my lenses are thick. All right, these are thick baddies. All right, these aren't cheaters. These are, you know, I stole the answer key to the test glass. Like, these are the whole deal. I don't know where I was going with that analogy, but they're thick. And so I lost them, and I was like, all right, well, that's okay. You know, you don't need to see to have a good time. But and the rest of the trip, like with my friends, like had to hold my hand and like take me places. Um, I took some really pictures that I thought looked good at the time. I was like, dang, I look so good. Yeah, I had just had jaw surgery like the in the fall and now the spring, so I lost like a ton of weight and I was like barely eating. But I was finally on the come up, so like I was able to enjoy food, but I was also like definitely skinnier. So I mean, I was feeling myself, you guys. I was a dangerous. So so I took some really pictures that I thought were really awesome and kind of like hot in the moment, and then I looked at them later and I was like, turns out I cannot see because yikes, those were not good. Luckily I had already posted them. So yay, can't take it back. But okay, so then my favorite things we did on this trip is we took this like on and off booze cruise thing where it like brings you through the canals and then it gives you a tour of all these like really rich people's houses, and it's kind of fun to like see all the houses. And then this is where I want to tell you guys that alligator story. So I guess if you live on these canals, it's possible for alligators to like eat your dog, which is really really crazy. And definitely it was kind of a little funny here. Obviously I don't think it's funny for alligators to be eating people's dogs, but just kind of wild. So, like, they talked about that where they're like, yeah, you have to watch your pet really close because, like, it's a dangerous world out here. But anyway, okay, so our goal as a group, okay, was to drink the rainbow. So we wanted to have a drink of every color in the rainbow, starting from red, orange, yellow. You guys know the rainbow. And I think we made it to like green, and it was like hours. We didn't like it was over hours. We had like lunch. We had this like I got a drink out of a pineapple. It was just like pineapple juice, but it was in a pineapple. And then we were like in the ocean. Oh, it was the best time ever. But then we got to green and we were all pretty done. So we did not complete the rainbow that day. We had to save it for the next day. But that was so fun. And I look back on that and I'm like, we were just the funnest people in the world. Like, y'all wish that you could have been us because we were having the time of our lives. All right? There was nobody I would have rather have been. Like, nowhere I would have rather been than on that trip. So that was really fun. Also, okay, we stayed at this Airbnb, which was like basically an apartment, a part of these like group of apartments. And we found out that basically most of the apartment people are like old because they're there in the winter. We came around March. So still kind of like snowbirdie season, or people who live there year round. It was mostly older people who could afford it. And then us who couldn't afford it, and we were just renting it for a weekend. And on Airbnb, it was like, are you here for spring break? And I don't know what possessed us to do this. And I'll be honest, if this is illegal, then this is a joke. But if it's not illegal, anyway. So we put on the Airbnb form, like as we were booking it, no, we're not here for spring break. We're here to visit family for a funeral. Why did we put that? We didn't, that was unnecessary. Like, we didn't need to say, we could have just been like, no, but we were like, no, our aunt died. I don't know why we did that. Or why we allegedly did that. Anyway, but then we got there and there was this old couple, and I can't remember their names. It was like, I think Wayne maybe was the guy. They were the funnest, but they were in their like 70s and they were like, are you guys here for spring break? And we're like, no, we're not. And then they're like, oh, that's okay. Like, it's okay if you are. You guys seem normal. I think they're more so concerned if like a pack of like a bunch of guys showed up because they said that had happened, and then they had like been across the street like in this rental unit and they had like trashed it. But we were just a couple girls, we're just trying to have a good time, soft, good time. We're not trying to, burn a building down. And so these people were so nice to us. They had a full bar in their apartment. They were like, hey, we have a full bar in here. Do you want to come look? And we all wandered in like little ducks. Like, they could have killed us. And I did tell him that later. I had a few, and I was like, "You guys are so nice. You could have killed us." Yeah. So I was a different person back then. I've grown up a little bit since then. But they had this full bar, and one of the nights we had like come back early, like 6 o'clock or something. We didn't really know what our plan was gonna be for that night. We were just gonna go back from the beach, get changed, and there were like all these like older people with our neighbors. They were like our neighbors, all sitting at this table just drinking and talking. There was like a little dog there, and they were like, come hang out with us. And we were like, oh yeah, no, like, because you're like, I don't want to hang out with a bunch of old people. But no, we were wrong. They were so so fun. I had like 6 shots of Fireball, which that's a Florida miracle because I did not throw up and I was not hungover and I felt I got up and worked out the next day. Who who had I become? Like that is Florida me. Florida me is different than regular me. So anyway, we ended up having a ball with them and we were like laughing and joking and having a great time. And then at one point I think we went swimming. And then at one point I think uh 2 people broke off from the group and went into the ocean, which I don't think you should go into the ocean after drinking, but they did it and, survived, thank God. Um, and they said they had a lot of fun, and I didn't because I had tapped out for the night. I think I was taking a shower. But yeah, they crossed something off their bucket list, go to the ocean at night, whatever. We just had the most fun ever. All right, I'm going to say it. I think that some people on the trip may have skinny dipped in the ocean. I'm not going to say who. Okay. Anyway, we had the most fun. And then the other thing that was probably like a highlight for the trip was we one of the times we went out to dinner with our one of the girls who went friend, maybe relative, I can't remember. And that's when we finished drinking the rainbow. We finished there. It was the day after the little cruise thing. And then we all like went into this beach or went into the ocean off this beach. And like I didn't really think about it at the time, but looking back on it, I was like, we were literally right next to a pier of which people were actively fishing off of. And I don't know a lot about sharks and like danger, but I don't think that you should go in swimming in the water that someone's also like pretty nearby fishing in. That just feels like not smart. But we weren't there to be smart. We were there to have fun. So we did that, and then it started raining, and I don't know. The whole trip was like the best time of my life. So Florida did that. And then the other trip I've been on at Florida was I went with my family to see like some distant family members in Cocoa Beach, which is like that's the cutest name ever, Cocoa Beach. So anyway, they were super cute and that trip was really fun because my poor older male cousin had to sit in between me and my sister. We were young. I was probably like maybe early high school, like young. And we sat in between, like he sat in the middle, I think, of us, and we just grilled him the whole time about when he was gonna get married. And so I had a fun time. And actually, best part, the girl he was dating at the time, he married her. So, and she's in my wedding. So, shout out to Sarah. But yeah, that was a really fun trip, and honestly, Florida's just great. Like, I've never had a bad time there. I've also never been hungover there, so and again, I just want to be so clear. Like, I'm not saying you should do that. I'm not saying that you should drink to excess. I'm not saying you should go in the ocean incapacitated. If you wear glasses, don't wear them in the ocean, all right? I made a lot of mistakes, but looking back on them, they're really fun. They were like fun mistakes. And praise the Lord that nothing ever actually bad happened to us. And maybe it was Bob and maybe his name wasn't Wayne. Maybe it was Bob. But shout out to the neighbors for taking us under their wing. And I think they sent them a card. And I think they sent one back. So if you're out there and you're still alive, which I think that you would be, because you're in your 70s. I think you're still out there. Thank you. Thank you for letting us have a great time and taking us in. And yeah, so I think that's the podcast today. I just wanted to talk about Florida and comedy and having fun. And I think I like this better, right? Like, we tried the whole like computer formal segments. That's just not me, okay? I'm a couch girl. I don't know if you can see it, but I'm in my sweatpants right now, alright? I took a shower for this podcast. I am just trying to chill and have a good time. I think you guys are doing the same thing. So, yeah, let's just take away all this formality. Let's just vibe, okay? Anyway, I've probably said vibe on this podcast like 30 times in this one episode. I feel like I overused that word. But it is the perfect word because it encapsulates everything, you know? It is. It's a vibe. Anyway, okay. Maybe I should get t-shirts with that on it. Would you buy a t-shirt if I made one that said something, like it's the vibes or whatever? Oh, no thoughts, just vibes. That's it. Would you buy a t-shirt that said that, or like a mug, or like a hat, or like a sticker? Anyway, I'm trying to get merch for my comedy. But yeah, the shows were a great opportunity. The trip was awesome. Florida's great. Hope to be back. Oh yeah, and if you know if you want me to do comedy in Florida, make it happen. Start calling some people because I'll come. I'll come tomorrow. Okay? I'm already there emotionally. So I just need someone to tell me to come and I'm there. So, all right. Well, thank you guys so much for tuning in and we'll be back next week, hopefully in this room, hopefully on this couch talking about something else and it's going to be awesome. So, thanks for watching.